What's the weather been like out there?
Inconsistent. Actually, today, um, it was pretty nice. Even though the sun was out, it had a real nice, cool breeze to it. So, it was a real nice day today. I wish it was like that every day out here
Yeah.
in Las Vegas, but it's kind of strange because I think Prince was on something when he said sometimes it snows in April.
Uh huh.
I was like, I don't know what that brother saw, but he sure seen it because over there on the East Coast, where it's supposed to be spring, it's still snowing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm like, wow, what did he know? Sometimes it snows in April. And I understood what he meant symbolically. He's talking about feelings and stuff like that. Because right when things are supposed to start getting better for you and coming into the new, sometimes even during that time, it's a cold world.
Right.
I just find it strange that he made a song with that kind of statement, and that's the type of weather we looking at right now.
Yeah, he definitely had insight. You think you and him would have been good friends?
Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. That's why I call Prince the bro. A lot of people say, why he calling Prince the bro? Because that's a personal understanding that I have. I call Dean Martin the bro. It's only two celebrities that I never got a chance to meet that I call the bro. And I know absolutely certain that if I would have had the chance to you might as well say be friends with them, we'd have been tight.
Right.
And that's Prince and Dean. That's like a lot of people was shocked that I put a picture up with Dean Martin on Facebook and on Instagram about a statement that he said about racism, and I signed it, Brother Dean Martin. And this black dude like, how's Dean Martin your brother? And I had explained it to him. And he said, oh, I get it, but whatever. I said, well, you can whatever your ass off my account. The Kennedys had invited him to a real important function, and they didn't allow Sammy to go. And Dean said, if Sammy's not going, I'm not going. He said, that's my friend. That man is my friend. And, he was very, very loyal to his friends, because he was real close friends with Marilyn Monroe. And what I really admire about him, among other things, is that you can be friends with a woman that looks like that and still don't sleep with her.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Most people can't say that, especially men can't say that.
And when Frank Sinatra and them would get through doing their Rat Pack show and they want to hang out, Dean would hang out with them for a couple of hours, and with Frank and them like, hey, let's pick up a couple of broads, and just kick it all night. Dean went up to his hotel room by himself because he was married.
Bro, that's honorable.
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, man, you should study Dean Martin. I don't know if,
No, I never have. I never even listened to his music, even though I know it's good.
Yeah, I mean, if you just happen to be inspired to study him, study him. Dean Martin was.
Have you seen all of the documentaries about him?
Huh?
Have you seen every documentary about him?
Absolutely all of them. I downloaded all of them.
Oh, okay. Because
I always felt that what is my attraction to Dean Martin, and it tripped me out because then I ended up working at a place where his love child was, and I'm like, what's going on with this Dean Martin thing? So I started studying him more, And so I started studying Dean Martin really deep when I started working at the Win. When I first started working at the Win, you know, when I was at the Rio, I studied him passively. You know, because Dean Martin was funny as hell, man. He's funny as hell, and he didn't have to crack, you know, try to make you laugh by cracking jokes. Dean Martin was just a funny dude.
Right.
You know, Dean Martin can say good morning, and he'll say it in a way it had you cracking up laughing, you know. And what I admired about him when it came to Marilyn Monroe, him and Marilyn Monroe was supposed to have did this movie together called Something's Gotta Give, and so he was involved in it, and sometimes Marilyn wouldn't even come to work on the set. And when they was getting ready to fire Dean Martin, by him being so close to her, he understood what she was dealing with, and so he, you know, he would always talk to them and tell her, you know, just give her some room, you know, give her a little time. And then when she ended up dying, they wanted to replace Marilyn with somebody else, and he said, "No, I'm quitting. I'm quitting the film." So he was loyal to his friends all the way to the end, you know. And his mother raised him up and told him that he shouldn't show emotions and stuff like that. And so he was kind of he was pretty laid back anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He was pretty laid back.
Yeah, I think I read like he kind of had like not him, never. I was gonna say him, but it was actually Frank Sinatra that had a weird relationship with his mom. Like she was real mean. Do you like Frank anyway? You never really bring up him.
Yeah, Frank was cool.
Oh, okay.
I like Frank's music, but I think Frank was an asshole.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have been cool with Frank. I just wouldn't have hung out with. I probably would have hung out with Frank, but I wouldn't have been as close to Frank as Dean and him was.
Right.
You know, because actually Dean was Frank's balance. They say whenever Frank would go off and explode, Dean was the one who would always come up to him and say something real funny and calm him down, pull him to the side, you know, and counsel him and stuff like that. He's a beautiful man. He's a beautiful human being, man.
Right.
And he had a real laid back confidence about himself, to the point to where you can tell that he was comfortable with himself.
Right.
Very laid back, very comfortable with himself. He didn't have an insecurity nowhere, you know. And it's like there's not a celebrity out there who didn't love Dean Martin. Everybody loved Dean Martin. And so when I started studying him, I'm like, okay. You know, because I used to love the way he would surprise Johnny Carson and them on their talk show. Johnny would be up there getting ready to bring on somebody else, and then all of a sudden he'll say, Here's George Gould. Here's George Gould. Everybody start clapping. All of a sudden, Dean walks out. You know, he walks out with his drink in his hand. You know, and I just thought he was a real cool person, man. He was cool. He was cool. I still sit up and watch his footage because to me his comedy is a lot more natural, you know. Because he had very good timing, you know. Sing his ass off too. Sing his ass off. Had a beautiful voice, but he was just a cool person, you know. He broke some hearts, you know, because he was a womanizer, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, it just like I always say, you know, why did he have to have his son killed? You know, because when his son had crashed into those mountains, when his plane had malfunctioned, and see, Dean was he loved his sons. You know, he he loved his son like I love mine.
Right.
And not only was that his son, that was his friend. You know, they would sit up, they would have discussions, and they was, you know, and his ex-wife would say, I would sit there and I would watch them talk to each other all night, just sit in the living room, just talk about things. And she said, and the way he would look at him, you know, Dean would look at his son. He looked at him with such interest and respect for what his son was talking about.
Right.
You know, and he had a great love for his son. And then when his son got in that accident, they said that he was never the same no more. He didn't want to live no more. And then not too long after that, then Sammy Davis Jr. had died, and that hit him real hard. But you know, I believe it was in, I can't recall, so I didn't even want to try it. But when his mother had passed away, 8 months later, his father passed away.
Right.
So he was that's a shock to the system. You know.
Yeah, a son, his brother, Sammy, his mom and his dad.
Yeah.
That's 4 people, man. That'll take anybody out.
Right. And so during his last days, they said that he would sit at this Italian restaurant out here a whole lot. As a matter of fact, it's still here. As a matter of fact, as soon as I get me some more transportation, I'm gonna go there and check it out. You know, because he was always sitting up talking about how very good their food was, and I'm like, I wonder if this restaurant's still out here. And it's still out here. I said, well, shoot, I'm gonna go check it out. But he started losing a whole lot of weight. You know, he didn't take care of his appearance and his health anymore. He just didn't care no more. You know, when his ex-wife was on this documentary, she was saying, man, his parents and, you know, his son, his good friend, Sammy Davis Jr. and stuff like that, Marilyn Monroe, all of these people started dying. And they said he would sit in that Italian restaurant all by himself, just off to himself. And he would have the same plate of pasta every time he went in there. And the owner had said he would sit down and just listen to Dean talk about his life and stuff like that. But that's at the point where Dean had started getting, I'm trying to remember what it was. I think it was throat cancer from his smoking and stuff like that, and by him not really wanting to live anymore, he just wanted to leave, and so he purposely stopped taking care of his flesh because he just didn't want to live no more. He didn't want to perform anymore, and Jerry Lewis and Frank was trying to encourage him to take better care of himself, but you know, they just, you know, they wasn't able to feel what he was feeling.
Right.
And you know, and the impact upon someone, how they feel about something, you have to be them to understand their perception of sorrow.
Yeah, a lot of people, you know, a lot of times when you know, you try to tell your pain to other people and they try to knock it down, or boy, that ain't nothing, or this or that, but it's like you can't really tell that person this ain't nothing, because like you just said, it's all about their depth of perception and what they've been through and what made them the way they are. You got to understand that. That's something that people in society doesn't want to do.
Yeah. You know, and then when you're dealing with a beautiful soul like he was, by him being such a beautiful soul, tragic is going to hit him a whole lot more in depth. You know, because of the beauty of who he is. You know, to me, Dean had a cool life. You know, he was able to name his price. You know, he had his Dean Martin show. You know, he had money. He had women. He would get up every morning and go to the golf course and play golf. I'm like, damn, this man's life was amazing. You know, and that's why I've always felt that, yeah, but how come you allow something like that to happen to him? For him to lose his own son and stuff like that, when his son was the one who actually healed his heart in reference to losing his parents with that the way that they did, and then that was taken from him, and then Sammy was taken from him, so it just amazes me, because you try your best to be a good person, and even if you don't try to be good, you still being a respectable, humble person. You ain't bothering nobody. You ain't doing nothing wrong, and if something like that happens to you, it just makes me wonder, why do things like that have to happen to good people? I mean, this man didn't have a prejudiced bone in his body. I've got a lot of footage on him, and I look at how comfortable he was with himself. And when you're comfortable with yourself, you're able to be beautiful to other people. But for him to have the kind of life that he had, it also, but at the same time, even though he was real laid back, he, all of those experiences made him kind of callous on the inside.
Yeah, that would.
And see, the reason why I understand him is because I'm like that. And his wife said that they had problems with their marriage because he would never talk to her. He would just say a few words and that was it.
Was that always like that, or was that after he lost everybody?
Well, when she met him, he had already suffered the death of his parents and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
But a lot of people were saying that about Dean. He was real friendly, he was respectable, loving to everybody. They said you could not see him for like 15 minutes, and he'll greet you with a hug, or when he's sitting down talking to you, he would always put his hand on the shoulder, rub your shoulders and stuff like that. I noticed he was like that with Johnny Carson and Bob Hope. And I'm like, so you have to study people like that. And then when the creator's throwing all these signs in your face, like this is his love child here and stuff like that, I think you need to sit down and really study this person, because obviously it's something there.
Right.
But he was very reserved and detached. And that was the only problem that a lot of people had with him. As a matter of fact, a whole lot of the women who he had relationships with, the relationship, they thought it was fine, and then all of a sudden he would just break it off. And they would ask him, why did you just break it off? And he just it's just time for me to move on. So that was that callousness that was sitting up inside of him. He didn't even I remember his wife saying that there was times when he would come home and the kids would want to talk to him about some things, and he would say he would talk to them for a few minutes about it, and then he'd say, okay, that's enough talking. And see, that caught my interest. I'm like, okay, what type of what would make a person like this? See, because when you brush people off like that, even when it comes to your children, there's whatever this is sitting up inside of you, it does not discriminate, because it makes you the same way towards your own children. So what was he afraid of? I think that Dean was afraid of losing people, so he didn't want to get too close to people. And so when people really close to him pass on, it kills him pretty much.
Right.
And by him loving his son as much as he did, when his son had passed, that was it. They said he was never the same no more after that. He just didn't want to live no more. So despite how handsome he was, despite how beautiful his voice was, regardless of how good he was to other people, how peaceful he was, he still was afraid to get too close. And then of course, he felt as though he could get close to his son. And it's a trip, because you're supposed to be close to your children, but then you got this God that's kind of unpredictable, selfish motherfucker. Talk about I give life and I take life. The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh. But all at the same time, it wants you to be a real affectionate parent to your children. And then when you become a real affectionate parent to your children, it snatches it away from you. And it tears you. It tears you in half.
Right.
And when those type of things happen, the questions go up. And another thing that I noticed, I hope I'm not talking about Dean too much, but
I don't mind. I'm learning from this.
Another thing that I noticed, he never talked about the death of his son. Never talked about it. Jerry Lewis said he wouldn't talk to him about it when they would try to get him to talk about it. It's not that he refused to talk about it, he just did not talk about it. Now people may say, well, that's a refusal. No, it's not a refusal. It's just that what I mean by that is that he would never talk about it, not even a little bit, and say, I don't want to talk about it. See, that's the refusal. But when people bring up the thing, they said he would just go quiet and start, and just continue talking about something else. So he just did not want to talk about it because it was too painful. So when I saw that, I said, okay, now this man is he's out singing, he's still out singing, he's still performing, but he can't talk about the death of his son. Now most people say, well, of course he wasn't able to talk about the death of his son. No, I'm not talking in a universal fashion. I'm talking about Dean Martin. So maybe a part of him wanted to live on by way of entertaining people, and maybe he felt as though if he talked about it too much, it would put him in a position where he wouldn't be able to perform.
Right.
And he didn't need the money. I mean, the man had almost $1 billion when he died. But it was just he didn't want to talk about it. And so when you have a person that's not able to talk about something, when they try to talk about it, it's going to make them irritated because they may feel that they're trying to please the other person, because even though the other person is trying to get them to express their feelings about it, and they may mean you well, but when you are the host of all of that pain, what they are trying to get you to do, it's too hurtful for you to participate in that, so you just choose not to talk about it. And so when you are, when you having that type of mind, I think that's a state of duality, because all at the same time, I want to live, but I don't care about living no more. So I don't, and sooner or later, you're going to choose one. And he chose not to live anymore because he was in so much pain. He couldn't, it killed his desire to live. Then it had gotten to the point where Frank had got all of them back together to do the Rat Pack show, and they said that Dean had did only 3 shows, and then they said on the 3rd show, while all of them was on stage, Dean just walked off the stage and went to the dressing room, and they said Frank went back there and started getting on his case and stuff. And Frank didn't mean any harm, because they was able to play like this all the time. But Frank had I wouldn't say slap, he gently slapped him on the side of his head, like, what's your problem? What's your problem? And they said that Dean just looked up at him and looked at Frank the way he's never looked at him before, and just said, I'm just going home. I'm like, wow. Even then, he didn't say, look, I'm tired of this, leave me alone. He just looked up at Frank and said, look, I'm just going home. And him and Frank didn't see each other for like 2 years.
Dang.
Until Frank wanted to bring him and Jerry Lewis back together on one of his shows. And so Dean not only reconciled his differences with Jerry, but he also reconciled his misunderstandings with Frank. But he was still in a whole lot of tremendous pain. And so he had gotten to the point to where he didn't want to perform no more. And so once you get to the point to where you are no longer able to perform what's keeping you alive because of the hurt and the turmoil that you're dealing with the death of your son, once you throw that away, it's over. Because that's your you might as well say that's your incentive to keep living. And it just got to the point where he just didn't even want to do that no more.
Right.
And and like I say, I look at his life. I see the way he treats people, the way he talks to people, and how affectionate he was. It's like on one of the Johnny Carson shows. As a matter of fact, this was one of the times he just surprised Johnny. And Bob Hope was there, Lola Falana was there, and of course Johnny's right hand man, which his name escapes me right now. But Dean would always greet everybody, with a real smile, and I could tell the way that he would look at people and shake their hand. He would shake their hand long and look them in the eyes long enough to know that this is not just something that I'm supposed to do in front of these cameras. I'm really happy to see you. He would he kissed Lola Falana on the cheek, and sometimes he would kiss men, just to make people laugh.
But that was Italians, they do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Culture that men kiss each other on the cheek.
Mhm. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Oh yeah, man. There's nothing gay about that at all.
Mm-mm. See, the black community, what they call gay, is actually what is needed.
In Africa, I heard in many places, men hold hands together. Now I wouldn't go that far, but I respect it.
Mhm. Mhm.
But it's going to show you how colonized we are by the Europeans.
Yeah, we've been made cold and paranoid, the same as them. But what I noticed is that his mother, when she passed away on Christmas Eve at 8:00 in the evening. And when he passed away Christmas Eve, 8:00 p.m.
Dang.
I'm like, what? That's why I say, to me, life is very interesting. The people who really stand out in life, those are the people that I study. And then once the Creator gives me an inspiration to go study a certain person, obviously it's for a reason. And so I studied Dean Martin real close for like 2 years. Yeah, he thought racism was stupid.